video, we're going to talk about how we manage to take three tools that usually end up having their own bench or their own cart, and we're going to take all those three tools and put them all on one small cart, and all of those three tools you're going to be able to use at the same time if you really had to. They're not going to get in each other's way, so you can use one tool. Well, basically you have three people working around that cart and not get in the way of each other in most cases. So stay tuned. And so the three items we're talking about are the ones you see in this image, which is a tabletop drill press, a combination belt sander, disc sander, and a small bandsaw, all from Ryobi. We bought these tools last year for preparation for projects we wanted to make for a craft show. That was the main purpose in buying this equipment. They were all on sale at our local Home Depot, so we said, let's go for it. And we just sort of plopped them on this old workbench I had over on the side wall. So we've been using it this way since last year, but we're in the process of updating our workshop, and we really want to try and have a smaller footprint for our tools as much as possible, so we have a little bit more work room, because it's getting pretty tight in our workshop right now. We are getting some more equipment, so it is getting a little bit tighter and tighter all the time. So we are going to try and get these three pieces all on one workbench or work surface, so that way smaller footprint, and we have to make it so that it doesn't infringe on one another, so we can have, you know, long pieces of wood without the other pieces having to be moved every time. So that's the plan, and I'm going to show you how we did it. So to make this multi-tool cart that we're planning, we decided to use something we already have in our workshop, which is this air filtration cart that we made last year. If you haven't seen the video, click on the link above. We do have a how-to, or how we made this air filtration system cart. It's not something original. We have seen it all over the internet. One site that I can think of is Jay Bates. I think he made something like that. Jenny and Davis, and there's hundreds or if not thousands of other woodworkers that made similar type of air filtration systems. This is just our own twist on it, our own version, using plywood that we already had in our workshop, so we kind of modified it to fit in with that, and as well as a fan that we just picked up at Lowe's at one time as well. So yeah, so we decided to make this cart last year with the idea of maybe putting one tool on top or using it as and as you can see, I used it for spray painting some things, but now I'm going to convert it into a multi-tool cart with those three tools on top of it, and they're going to enlarge the top a little bit by using some old plywood off of the other cart. And here we've cut out a piece of plywood off of the original workbench that you saw all three pieces on, all three units on top, and I'm just cut it down to 30 inches by 24 inches, laid it on top of this cart, and making sure that it turned out perfectly, that the 24 inches is the exact width of this cart, so that I can still remove the air filters if I need to change them, so that both sides, if they can both be slid up yet, and yet it still extends on the other ends to give enough room to put all three tools on top. And here I am attaching the top, that piece of plywood on top of the cart. I decided just to screw it in. I didn't want to glue it on in case it doesn't work out. You know, all great plans. Sometimes you just have to have a backup plan in case it doesn't work out. That I can always remove that plywood and maybe use this cart for something else. So just screwing it down and then just cleaning it up just to get the marks off and everything, just to make it nice and clean looking. It's just a workshop, so I didn't go in too much detail with the sanding. Just took off the sharp edges as well, the corners, just so that we don't knock ourselves as we're using the multiple tools on top of this work cart. And after sanding, well, we just decided to put some paste wax on it. Figure it would be helpful to keep the dust off the top, seeing that we do have a belt sander, disc sander, which will create a lot of fine dust. I figured the paste wax will help just to be able to blow that dust off really easy. It won't stick to the plywood too much and help to keep it cleaner. Now I have to admit, before I cut the piece of plywood off of this workbench, I did dry fit everything to see how much room or how much plywood I would need, and that's how I decided to make this layout. So we did place all the three pieces of equipment in a way that, again, they don't infringe on each other, that we can use one piece and another without it getting in the way of each other. And in that way I was able to measure what size of plywood I need, and that's where that 30 inches came in. So after I did this little mock-up test setup, I just cut the plywood and placed it on top of the cart. And of course, you know, when you finish a project like this, it's always good to take your cart for a little dance, see how it works. All right, so we've got it all together now. We took that long piece of counter that we had, was about 6 feet. I think it was that bench that we had previously with all these three units separated on that bench, and it kind of took up a lot of room in this little workshop that we had. So took that and we shrunk it down to all three pieces on a small 30, I think it's a 30-inch by 24-inch tabletop, bench top, cart top, I guess you can call it. And yeah, this is it. So the plan is, in theory, I should be able to use all these tools at the same time if I really had to, which probably won't happen. It might have two tools running at the same time. Possibly I can see down the line at some point in time, but generally we're only going to use one at a time. Cool thing is we do have it all plugged in to one power bar. So we just have to, once we have it plugged in, you can turn on the switch and we're all ready to go. And then from that, we also have the dust collection outlets here. I'm planning to have one hose, the 4-inch hose coming up the back wherever we place this thing once we have everything set up. 4-inch coming up and then splitting up into three, one going there, and then one going, a flexible hose that we can put right at the drill bit for the drill here. So we'll have, and I'll have one shut off from the main at the 4-inch. But I just have to open that, it'll suck from everything, so that even though, I might break it down to having 3 different shut-offs. I'm not sure yet, we'll see how it works. I think with the 4-inch and then split up into 3, it'll probably be fine. And then from whatever dust comes off, it probably gets sucked in. And the advantage of having it on top of this bench, which is actually our air filter, workshop air filtration system. Any dust that sort of falls off, I'm hoping I can, if we have this on, it'll capture all that leftover dust kind of thing. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. The only thing I forgot to take into account when I put this all together, I did make sure that the bench top was flush here so that we can change the filters. There's a filter on each side of this. Flip it around. There's a filter on each side, so you can just slide them up, take them out, change them, clean them out, whatever. Unfortunately, this side, I forgot about this table sticking out. So of course, if I go to take this out, it's going to hit. So that means anytime I have to really change the filter, which might be once a month, or again, depending on how much I use it. I'm hoping it won't fill up as much anymore now that we're going to be having, spoiler, new dust collector here in the workshop. I'll just have to take the plate off. It's just one little screw here that comes out, and then I'll be able to pull this right out and change it when we need to. So, that's in there. So this should make a really good workspace that we can sort of tuck away in the corner when we're not using it. We can always pull it out when we want to really use it if you have smaller projects, because really all these things All these tools are made for smaller projects, not made for my big furniture, you know, for bigger furniture or anything like that, except maybe for the drill press kind of thing. The rest, these two, mostly just for small things. So notice I haven't really been using it all that much for the kind of wood projects I have been making. They were used mostly for when we were making small things, like for the craft show that we tried out back in last November. So that's why I kind of felt, yeah, we could really smash it down into one little tabletop, and they all can be used independently without getting in each other's way is the plan. I'll show you what I mean. I'll plug it in and I'll get it running. Fan is on, piece of wood. Take that off, like that. So, turn this on. Cut. So, no problem. Come over here. I don't have a drill bit in it, sorry, but put it on. Go there. And do my drilling. No matter what. Okay. So this doesn't get in the way of the drill press. I can have long pieces on this side and it won't cause any problems either. The sand is not going to get in the way and the bandsaw won't get in the way. The same goes for the bandsaw. If I had a longer piece here and I went across, the sand is not going to be in the way either. I'll just show you what I mean here. So when I have my piece of wood, if I had a longer piece, I've got a longer piece for you here to show. So if I had a longer piece to cut, I can go right over across without getting in the way. The only time that it might be an issue is if, I'm going to shut that fan off here, just unplug it. The only time it might be an issue is if I had to do an angle. Actually no, it might be alright. But in most cases, no, not that one. But better in the angle. And the size, it may get in the way. I may need to make some adjustments down the road if that becomes a repeatable problem, but I've yet to have to do an angle cut on the bandsaw, so usually I'll end up using the table saw for that kind of thing. So I don't foresee that being of any issue. And then, of course, I can still use same thing. That's, in theory, how it should work. And again, I love the fact that it's mobile, it's compact, so that I can just take it. Let's say if I had a project, I can bring it over to the work table beside it and do whatever I need to do some things on the work table and whatever it is. So it's really, I think it's going to be a really handy tool to have in the workshop, and I might look at trying to do the same kind of thing for other tools as well, because the nice thing is, again, you can just sort of tuck it away into the corner. I'll just show you, and that frees up all that space again. By doing that, I can bring in my workbench. I'm not going to show you my workbench because it's piled full of stuff. You may notice if you follow our channel that we kind of changed some things in the workshop. There we are in the midst of rearranging everything. So my table is full of tools now, so I'm not even going to show you that. But we're getting there, another day or two, and the whole thing should be pretty well set up the way we want it. That was one big hurdle there to try to figure out what we're going to do with those tools, because I really didn't want that long bench, extra bench here in the workshop. We just don't have the room for it. So, and the less horizontal spaces we have, the less likely I'm going to throw stuff on it and leave it there. So now we have our French cleat, and I'm going to be able to throw stuff on the French cleat in the proper places. and be a little bit more organized as the plan anyways, just like this bench top there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If it helps you or giving you some ideas, that's great. That's the idea of this channel. If you've done something similar or you have other ideas, please leave comments down below. And if you haven't already, hey, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and hit that like button so that come back here again. And I think the next video might be our dust collector. Still haven't hooked up the hoses, or I haven't even picked up hoses yet and connectors and everything like that. So I'm hoping by next week I'll have that all up and running. If not, I might just make a video about the dust collector. And I did take a video of how we put it together, so that for sure you'll be able to see that. And of course, then I'll show you, I'll probably give a shop tour once everything is pretty well set up. And another project that we've been working on all summer, and that's probably why you haven't seen too many build videos and things like that, is because we've been doing a lot of work in our backyard. Backyard's that way. So we've been doing a lot of work back there. And it's not really woodworking, I know, but it might be showing some interest that you might have some interest in it, because we did build a few things, and I think it might be of interest to some people to see some ideas. So stay tuned for that. And then of course, we're going to get back into woodworking. Thanks for joining. See you next time here at the Dusty Workbench. Test number 1. Am I in the picture? Can I stand like this? This is pretty good. You can sort of see me, see what it looks like. I'm pointing at the machinery, pointing at the filter, drill bit thing, the sander thing, and the cutting thing.